All right, so in my 8 minutes and 31 seconds, we're going to go through a lot. I got a lot of data I wanted to show, and we'll see. Hopefully, we can get through most of it. All right, so future of black males in higher education. My focus will be on higher education, and I just want to do something real quick. David mentioned standing up. I won't have you stand up, but I do want you to participate. So this is the Saturday between Good Friday and Easter, and I'm a Baptist preacher. And usually I preach either last night or tomorrow. I'm not going to do either because I'm traveling and doing things. So I want y'all to call and respond to me in the African tradition. Are you okay with that? All right, I'm going to show you two options on the screen. I want you to yell out who or what is better. Just yell it out. All right, young people, it's okay this time. You don't have to hold your breath. Yell it out. All right, if you know who I'm showing you. All right, here we go. Yell it out. Jackie Wilson or Sam Cooke?
Sam Cooke.
You all don't know who Jackie Wilson or Sam Cooke is? Yell it out. See, y'all too cool for school, huh? You just link. I need y'all to yell it out.
They were deferring to the elders.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. You didn't see it. Gotcha. All right, here we go. All right, you already know that one? Here we go. Four Tops of the Temptations.
Temptations. Wow. New edition.
Marvin or Stevie?
It's Donny Hathaway. Donny Hathaway.
All right, good. All right, here we go. Beyonce or Alicia Keys?
Alicia Keys.
Beyonce Keys. All right. Next. Here we go. Carrie Underwood or Taylor Swift?
Steve. I'm with him.
That's
neither.
Response. I like the energy. Low
Rihanna.
response rate. All right, here we go. Next. Beethoven or Bach? All right. Hold on. Coltrane or Miles? I know you're confused. I can't. All right, I hear you. Biggie or Tupac? Biggie. What'd you say, Biggie? Yeah, New York. That's right, represent. Coldplay or Maroon 5? All right. Next. LeBron James or Michael Jordan? Okay. Kendrick Lamar or Meek Mills? All right, let's pause there. See, there's a lot in the front, not so much in the back. All right, this is getting into the generational piece. PlayStation or Xbox? Finally, Mac or PC? All right, well, I have a Mac, but I'm running Windows. We can all get along, right? So why do I do this? Why do I show you these slides? So this is a quote. This is basically the foundation behind the Morehouse Research Institute and why we do what we do. It's a quote from Carter G. Woodson. As an educated black person, you need to have this book, The Miseducation of the Negro. It is a must-have. So he says, to educate the Negro, we must find out exactly what his background is, what he is today, what his possibilities are, and how to begin with him as he is and make him a better individual of the kind that he is. It is a participant-centered approach. So we start our analysis with the black male at the center, and then we look outwards from there. And that's what Carter G. Woodson, his approach to this is. So just like with some of you, I did that who's better, what's better. So I can reach, all of you had some response. So all of you are exposed to or like music. But to get to you or through you, I have to go through a different artist. I can talk to some of you about the Temptations and reach you. What if I could teach you a scientific concepts through a Temptation song, right? What if I could teach you the law of thermodynamics through a Meek Mill's lyric? I have to know you first, right, in order to get to you. So it's a student-centered approach in terms of how we go about doing these things. All right, real quick, you got a hint of this already, so I'll just show you some data because David's touched on this already. The answer to this is in terms of populations for black males. These get confused a lot of times, but the answer to this really is number 3. More black males in college, then the penal system, then the military, in terms of overall numbers, right? Those other two combinations are not true. Here, let's look at the data, right? So when we look at this, these are basically the buckets of life that young folks find themselves in after high school, post-secondary pathways, right? So right? So following the legend, you might die, incarcerated, unemployed, military, employed, or enrolled in secondary education. This is the column for African-American males. 0.3% die, 9.9% incarcerated, 34.4% unemployed, 0.9% military, 21% employed, 33.4% secondary education. That's the breakdown. You see the other racial groups here as well. This is but this bar going across, what you see above the bar, constructive or productive choices. Below the bar, not so much. Why is that? What's going on? All right. And this is not a deficit approach. This is just descriptive. So in terms of the Morehouse Research Institute and what we do, we try to do a couple of key things. To serve as a national resource or clearinghouse that is a go-to entity regarding research and best practices on the affirmative development of and achievement of black males. And that takes a variety of forms. So what we try to do is research. So that's what I'm going to emphasize today. We have national studies that we conduct that have included comparisons of African-American males at HBCUs and PWIs. We've done an analysis of black male initiatives on several college campuses. We looked at the key factors of college success for black males. We produced this report that was out on the resource table. This is a research brief, the state of undergraduate black males in STEM. It gives you all the numbers, the number of degrees, where they get their degrees, and so forth. On the back, it has the rankings of the top 20 institutions from which black males in STEM graduate, undergraduate BAs. Okay, so this will answer a lot of questions about STEM, black males, and so forth. Okay, the other piece real quick on the resource table is op-ed, why all African-American males should go to college but probably won't. It's an adult thing. And it piggybacks on something that David said about is college for everyone. So if you could take a look at that when you have some time. So next piece we do is an annual report. In addition to the research, we have an annual convention, annual convening. So we partner with the White House for this year's annual convening, African-American males. We have innovative STEM pedagogy projects that involve mentoring and so forth. And we're working on, and we're thinking about a summer institute on black male achievement where K through 12 and college personnel develop a concrete plan to develop evidence-based practices that enhance the academic achievement of black males. Imagine coming to Morehouse. We know what works, as you already heard. And you arrive here for a week, stay for a week, and you leave with a plan in hand. You have national experts who walk you through best practices, who will guide you through creating a plan for your individual school or campus. All right, so it's action-oriented. So the convening is about sharing information. The Summer Institute is about practice and implementation. Okay, so snapshot of higher ed. You heard some of the data already in terms of where we are. This is sort of looking back over the past, the range of years from 72 to 2008. So you have gained. So yes, you'll hear people say, oh, there's more people in college than ever before, graduated from college than ever before. Yes, that's true. But you have to slice the data and understand relativity. So for whites, you see the gap went from 50 to 72%. That's great. For blacks, 45 to 56. For Hispanics, 45 to 64. You still have gaps. So everybody's going up, but to what degree, right? African Americans up by 11%. The other groups up by a higher percentage. So there are more black folks graduated from college than ever, but not to the same extent, or they're not on the same trajectory as other racial groups. In low income, you see the same thing here, big jump from 72 to 2008. High income, you also have a jump, so you still have the gap. So things are getting better, but we still have to contextualize it. Bachelor degrees attainment, very similar. You have increases over the years, 24 to 37%. Increases for blacks, 11 to 19%. Look at the gap. Gap still exists, even today, right? All relative. You have to look at this in the context of other groups. So I was going to have you raise your hands for this, but I'm running out of time. National 6-year graduation rate for black males. All right, so basically what you'll see in this graph going across is there is a male problem. Overall, 56% of males graduate within 6 years, 61% of females. And you look across each of these groups and you see a gap. The gap is most pronounced for African Americans, 9 percentage point difference. So it's 34% 6-year graduation rate for African American males, but these other groups still are having some challenges as well. So there's an achievement gap racially, but there's also an achievement gap in terms of gender. Income-wise, not much is happening on the low-income side from 75 to 2008, 3 percentage point increase. Income is still playing a huge role, but income plays out differently with race. And my sociologist friends who are here, we can talk about that a little more. All right, so in terms of the gender differences for African Americans, 66% of bachelor's degrees that are given out are given to females, right? And that's, again, you see this gender piece across the board, most pronounced for African American males. So African American males are entering college at roughly 5.3%, which is proportionate to their numbers in the population, but they're not graduating at the appropriate rate relative to their overall population. And talking about the future, the for-profit piece. So there's basically 4 categories of colleges: for-profit, public 2-year, public 4-year, private 4-year. Look at black and Hispanics in terms of for-profit, 26%, right? And that number is on an incline. Now, what's happening at places like Harvard and MIT and even at several HBCUs, this online piece and how that's going to play out is very interesting, but we have to be very innovative and smart about how we implement some of these things. I have some great data. We have a national study of black males in college. We look at all this stuff. This is black male centered. You're not going to see this on the census or Higher Education Research Institute or NESE or anything like that. We designed this with black males in mind. We ask about rap music. We ask about risky behaviors. We ask about tattoos. We ask about sagging pants. All sorts of things that are black male centered, okay? And some quick data on this in terms of spending time. You ask a national sample of black males in college at freshman year, how they tended to spend their time. Listening to music was number one, right? Socializing, texting, exercising, sports, and then we have studying down here. So they were reflecting on their senior year in high school. What we want to do in terms of innovative pedagogy is incorporate all of this where they are in their downtime here. And there are ways that we can do that in a way that we've already have evidence to show works. Okay, again, I was going to have you do some of these quizzes, no time for that. So real quick, we asked, so some of you may wonder about this, about what do some typical black male behaviors, right? Stereotypical black male behaviors. Wear a do-rag in public, wear a baseball cap in class, curse, say the N-word, call a black woman a hoe or a B, wear flip-flops in class, get in fist fights, allow your pants to sag so that your underwear is visible, right? And we asked them how often do they do that? Never, a few times a year, a few times a month, a few times a week, every day, and so forth. So you see the descriptors here. Some key findings in terms of the N-word and cursing, it's pretty universal. I could have a 4.0, I curse and say the N-word, 2.0, curse and say the N-word, right? GPA, in terms of, for black males who do say that, yes, but then you also see, in terms of reading non-required books, you see there's reading patterns, there's a distribution, there's variance, and not all black men sag. 72% of black men say they never sag, right? Now, hopefully they were being honest and there wasn't social desirability going on. All right, so moving on, before I get the super evil eye. Black males in college, that engage in reputational cool pose, right? We know Richard Major's work talks about cool pose. What does that look like? Sagging, do-rag, fighting, sort of reputational masculinity that other scholars have talked about. Those folks, when you see a cluster, the key is cluster of behaviors like that, they tend to be more likely to have lower GPAs, curse, use the N-word, refer to women as H's or B's, think that others view African Americans in a positive way. Yes, that's somewhat counterintuitive. Be depressed, have lower self-esteem, engage in risky behaviors, and view African Americans negatively. So when you see that cluster of behaviors, that doesn't mean you go out on the street, you make a young black male sag his pants, and all of this stuff happens. No. It's a cluster of behaviors that represent a certain type of masculinity, okay? So, and I'm just going to move to the last slide. Oh, black male initiatives in higher education. You all have various things going on at Harvard with black students and so forth. And nationally, black male initiatives, I study them. Basically, these are sort of the data. It's funded by grants for the most part, which is inherently problematic. And then what happens in terms of what they look like, these are the most popular characteristics of black male initiatives in higher education. Mentoring, 95% of them have a mentoring component. 89% of them have community service component. Lectures or invitations for special events, 84%. Study groups, 52%. Academic-based meeting study groups, 47%. Scholarships, and so forth. Okay? I know I'm going fast, y'all. I'm sorry. But I'm short on time, and Sean is looking at me. Okay, so here's some issues of black male initiatives. So if you're on the college campuses, here or anywhere else, here are some shortfalls to black male initiatives on college campuses. Lack of short and long-term data that document the impact. The data is weak with most of these initiatives because they're often just started by counselors or folks who care about students but don't have research or assessment backgrounds. Most programs have multiple elements but don't measure which element has the most impact. Many programs terminate when the grant ends. Many programs are personality rather than process-driven, so when a person leaves, the program might end. Lack of control group comparison. There's weak awareness of African-American male data. I've gone to campuses and said, what's your black male graduation rate? And they were stumped. So you want to understand how to enhance the outcomes for black males, but you don't even know the nature of the problem to a detailed extent. Lack of communication amongst various entities and lack of controlling for coincidental variables that just naturally occur in terms of development. So I'm going to skip this. This is all great. This is wonderful, wonderful data. All right, but I'll get to the last slide. This is the key practice. I know. All right, so here we go in terms of the future and what things are going to look like, what you need to do. Assessment is key. You have to measure what you're doing. Formative assessment and summative assessment. If you don't know how to do it, get some help. Most folks have access to some social scientists, and as scholars, as researchers, we need to offer ourselves to the community for this sort of work. Assessment is key. Also, mentoring programs, mentoring works. You have to, assessment runs throughout all of these I'm going to mention, but mentoring does work. College success workshops, teaching life skills, absolutely works. Self-regulation is a critical component. Self-regulation, self-control, willpower, discipline, predicts academic achievement much more so than self-esteem and other psychosocial variables. Early alert system needs to be early. Don't wait to 3 exams and a final for faculty here. That's not the most effective model. You need to go to a quiz model, something that's more preemptive. Let's see, high expectations across the board, believing everyone can learn, developing institutional engagement. Students need to feel connected to the campus. Learning style assessments, kinesthetic, auditory, visual learners. Understand, students, you need to learn how you learn. And the task is to convert information into that format, okay? And I could talk to you about that using mnemonics and all sorts of other things. Assessment of career and life skills. Take assessment during your advisement freshman year. What am I good at? What do I love? What am I passionate about? What is your purpose? That's what true education is about, passion, purpose, and calling. Faculty development workshops. Many of our faculty do not, at many of our campuses, do not understand the psychology of our students, even at some of our HBCUs. High academic self-esteem. Students need to believe that they can do it. Some of them come to college with a high school mentality. Doesn't fit, okay? Finally, rigorous institutional self-studies. All of y'all in higher ed, your institutional research unit is critical. The faculty are studying education, schools of education, and so forth. You need to know what's happening on your individual specific campus and slice the data by gender and by race to be informed and make decisions that really matter. An innovative and appropriate use of technology in and out of class, but maybe I'll get to that during the panel. Thank you for your time and attention.